right, here we are. Things are going. Brother, I just want to thank you for coming on this show with us. It's a great pleasure to have you on here. Before we get things really started, before we bring slides and everything up, just want to ask you a little bit about yourself. Please let us know, about you, where you're from, where you grew up, and how you got into this amazing topic that we're about to talk about.
Well, first, I would like to say Islam and Assalamu alaikum to my brother, Lloyd Douglas L. Sharif Ali. I'm so grateful for you, my brother, to you, the Moorish American community. And it is the struggles of Noble Drew Ali and the Moors in America establishing the first Islamic presence in America, and their struggles, which allows all of us to come from other places to practice our religion freely in this country. So we owe a big debt to the Moorish people, and I'm truly grateful for that. So myself, originally, I come from Pakistan, which is originally a part of India, Hindustan, where the Moors had ruled as well. And even the Urdu language is classified as a Moorish language in the Library of Congress. And coming here to this country, I came here when I was 5 years old. I grew up in Ohio. First, I was in Ohio, then I went to Delaware, then I came here to Philly, and I've been in Philly ever since. And it's been a beautiful journey. I went through the Sufi systems in Pakistan and in America. Then my curiosity led me to Freemasonry. I'm like, let me see what this is about. And after being in Freemasonry in America, I even went to England. I was even in a lodge in London. And I realized that, hold on, this is all Islam. This is all Sufism. I had even joined the Shriners, and I'm looking at the Shriners, Allah, the Father, the God of our fathers. And I'm looking at all of that. I'm like, this is all Islam. And this is what motivated me, because at that time, when I made my channel in 2019, when I started writing and making videos, and around 2019, I saw none of the white Masons were ever talking about the Islamic teachings in Masonry. They were always giving credit to the Greeks, the Romans, how the Eurocentric stuff, which makes them look good and feel good. And I'm like, nah, I'm not having this. So I just put the stuff out there, and I'm grateful for that. And I'm grateful to my Sufi friends, Sufi teachers. Being here in this Philadelphia environment, I'm grateful to all of the Moors that I met here. Beautiful brothers here. I learned a lot from them. And I'm truly grateful for this journey and who I am.
Pardon for that. Here I am thinking I'm not on mute. So I just wanted to say gratitude for sharing, brother, letting us get to know you a little more. Philly, or as us Moors like to refer to it, Sheikh of Mexham, Philadelphia is a very Islamic city. Very Islamic city. A lot of Islamic people there. It's actually amazing, if you actually know this and go there and check it out. So yeah, definitely you coming from a city with a huge Islamic presence. So gratitude for sharing that. And let's go ahead and bring your slides up. Matter of fact, before we do that, I just want to speak a little about your book. Now, I do have this book myself, Morris. I suggest everyone go and check it out. We have the link to this brother's author page on Amazon in here, so you can find the book in there. I'm also just going to put the link in there for the book so that you can go and get that. Well over 100 pages in here. The brother reveals some powerful stuff in here. I have some things in here highlighted that if we have time, I'll ask you about. But more than likely, we might have to do that on another show. But great book. I wouldn't recommend it if I didn't think this was powerful information. It could, help to enlighten others. So definitely wanted just to say great job on that. Appreciate you. Appreciate the work that you're doing. All right. So now you're speaking about seeing like the parallels with Islam and Freemason, right? Can you give us some more examples of that before we, jump in?
Well, if we really look at it, the path of Islam is about submission to the will of God and trusting God and not fearing any danger, and basically seeking knowledge from cradle to grave, and knowing that one day we will die. And those are all the subsequent lessons from the entered apprentice degree, the fellow craft degree, the master mason degree. So Islam is already giving us all of this. And if we look at all of the presence of the Moors in Spain, it was the Moors who brought the Europeans out of darkness to light. So everything is owed to Islam, and Islam saved Europe's architecture, the arts and sciences, the Renaissance. Even if you look at the clothing, they were the loose clothing during the college graduations. It's all representing and giving tribute to Islam. And I think even in this book, I was honored to cover this materials to give credit to Islam. And of course, a big gratitude goes to Noble Drew Ali. Again, I say that because where is Allah found? Allah is found in the heart. And the Sufi path is teaching us the same thing, that you must look within. Allah, we try to see that the men and women of God, the true men and women of God, you won't find them in a masjid, in a mosque, in a church, in a synagogue. It's within. It's either you have it or you don't. And that love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that's what even Noble Drew Ali, the Sufi path, and all of that teaches us in our hearts. Let me see. Oh, there it is. So now we look at the house of Kaaba, right, in the holy city of Mecca in the east. Most people do not know that inside of the Kaaba, you have the altar and you have the three pillars. And if you look at the Masonic tracing board, you see the same thing: strength, wisdom, beauty, right? The same black and white tiles on the bottom representing duality. On the Kaaba, right, the cloth covering that is covered with black and white. Inside is the altar. And then you have the Muslims who are doing the rite of circumambulation. This is what Malcolm X did too. What do you do when you join the Masonic Lodge, right? They make you go around during the initiation, and it's about submitting to the will of God. And in the hadiths of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, he says that the signs of Allah are three signs. One is the all-seeing eye, and in the Arabic, that's called al-Basir, right? One of the 99 names of Allah, the all-seeing eye. That Allah is always watching you, seeing you, and this life is a test. And of course, the sun and the moon, which are representations of Allah as well. So everything is about that inward journey, ascending that Jacob's ladder, ascending to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and applying those pillars in your life: strength, wisdom, and beauty. Now, the whole Masonic story is allegorical, but it's about building that internal temple within, where you are given the tools, and then you have to chip away at your rough ashlar until it becomes a smooth ashlar, just like how you see the bricks of the Kaaba, right, where God told Abraham, here are the tools, now make the house of God. And most people do not know that the people protecting the Kaaba, right, the Sheba tribe, if you look at like the Arabs, like the original Arabs, right, they look like you, my brother, right? Just Google the royal executioner of Saudi Arabia, right?
Yeah.
Just look them up and you'll see that's who the true Arabs and Muslims and Moors are. So it's all about finding that internal temple within, and how, the rite of circumambulation, the pillars, the altar, it's all relative. So now, if you look at the initiation rites among the Sufi dervishes, it's just like a Masonic lodge. The candidate must be recommended by two members of the order who can vouch his character to the sheikh, or in Masonry, the worshipful master. Once recommended, the initiate must respect all brethren equally, despite his worldly rank or title. Now, the work entails of chanting the names of Allah, God, memorizing portions of the Qur'an, helping with public services, feeding the homeless, and a period of seclusion and fasting. This is also during the probationary period between recommendation and initiation. The brother must promise to be faithful to his oath, protect and guard the secrets of which are entrusted to him, and live his life in obedience to the will of God. Now, if you look at the degrees of the Knights Templars and the Ismaili Islamic assassins, you'll see it's very, very similar. Where if you look at the Ismailis, right, their ranks, as you see, the highest is the Grand Master, or the Prince of the Mountain, the Old Man of the Mountain, the Dais al-Kabir, or the three great viceroys under him. the Dais or the provincial masters, or like in Masonry, right, they call them the district deputies, the Rafiks or chaplains, the Lazik or military body, the Fedayeen, the death devoted, or the Batini or the secret brethren affiliates. If you look at the Knights Templars, you have the Grand Master, the three Grand Priors, the provincial prior, the chaplains, the knights, the esquires, the serving brethren, the donato and obligati, and the affiliati. Now, many people do not know that the founder of the Knights Templars, the Hugues de Paynes, he was a Moor, and his grandfather was a Moorish Sufi who had instructed him into the sciences. And if you go to Italy, right, Sicily, if you look at the Pagani family crest, you see the heads of the three Moors on there. And that's where Hugo de Paynes comes from, the founder of the Knights Templar. And of course, subsequently, their influence on Freemasonry. Now, most people, of course, I mean, now this is mainstream knowledge on the Arabization of the Knights Templars, where the charges against them accuse them of being crypto-Muslim with worshiping of Baphomet. And if the French spelling of Baphomet, it was Mahomet, right? Muhammad. And they were being accused of denying Christ. And they were persecuted on a Friday, right? The holy day for the Moors and Muslims. And the Knights Templars, they made treaties in the Holy Land with Muslims contrary to French interest and betraying Frankish armies to Muslims during periods of conflicts. Robert of St. Albans, he was an English Knights Templar who converted to Islam and married Saladin's niece. In the 1270s, the Templar commander in Sidon, Matthew Savage, also spelled Sermaj, and the Mamluk ruler of Egypt, Sultan Baybars, were blood brothers, right? The bloodlines. Hugo de Paynes, the co-founder of and the first Grand Master, was a descendant of Moorish Sufis. Now, many people do not know that this right here, the Dome of the Rock, right? This is a news clipping from the London Evening News from September 3rd, 1918, which of course the Europeans have scrubbed, conveniently. There was a Masonic meeting held at this place. And the following, it reads that Freemasons in Palestine, see Palestine before the so-called Zionist state of Israel that we have today, before 1948. So Palestine was there. This is from a newspaper clipping. Have held a Masonic meeting on the historic site of King Solomon's Temple, where Freemasonry is supposed to have originated about 1000 BC. This meeting was organized by members of the New Zealand Expeditionary Force in Palestine. The Mosque of Umar being on the site of the temple, the New Zealanders approached the great sheikh in charge of the mosque for permission. Then occurred an incident showing the universality of the order. The sheikh listened to what the strangers had to say, and then to their amazement, he asked if there were any Masons among them. The rest was easy. He declared himself a Mason, and at the meeting, he acted as one of the guards of the lodge. The place within the mosque where the meeting was held is known as the Cave of the Rock of the Dome, and is believed to have been the Holy of Holies of the old temple. And it is today of the Mosque of Umar. And of course, soldiers of all ranks were present, and after a lodge had been duly constituted and opened, resolutions were passed conveying fraternal greetings and good wishes to the various grand lodges, to the lodges in New Zealand, and the brethren on service in France. Now, there's a tradition in many Masonic lodges, and I've seen this in England as well, where they do the Auld Lang Syne. And this is, if you go to Sufi lodges and Zikr circles, they all form a circle, hold their hands, and commemorate brotherhood and chanting the names of Allah. So it's about commemorating that bond and that chain, that spiritual chain that binds us all. Now, if you look at, let's say, the Demolay system in Masonry, that comes from al-Fatwa, Islamic knighthood and mentoring from youth. Like how in our communities, right, whether it's the Moors or 5%ers, we got to focus on the babies. And Fatwa is the way of the Fatah. In Arabic, Fatah literally means a handsome, brave youth. After the enlightenment of Islam, following the use of word in the Holy Quran, Fatah, which is the plural of Fityan, came to mean the ideal noble and perfect man whose hospitality and generosity would extend until he had nothing left for himself, a man who would give all, including his life, for the sake of his friends. According to the Sufis, fatwa is a code of honorable conduct that follows the example of the prophets, saints, sages, and the intimate friends and lovers of Allah. Taught starting from a young age, taught all the arts and sciences. And of course, in Freemasonry, this is taught in demolay youth groups. And their goal is eventually to get them to join the orders when they're adults. Now, you gotta be a free thinker, right? So the importance of free thinking and internal self-growth. Like with the Fatimiyya Sufi order, which I'm a part of as well, and I'm the representative in America for that. If you look at the commandment number 3, it clearly states, always on the path of the great work of life to death, to palingenetic resurrection, rely upon what thine own inner light and what the truth within tells thee, and not what thy neighbor, preacher, rabbi, priest, minister, mullah, sheikh, guru, clairvoyant, astrologer, institution, corporation, superior, bureaucrat, politician, or popular consensus insists or demands that ye think and do. Therefore, the only obedience due on the path of the great work of life to death, to palingenetic resurrection, is obedience to that voice of truth, emanating forth when truly unveiled from within, the essential light of thine own inner being, or to that living, vertical embodification of the proof of that truth in the outer world, and nothing else. So listen most intently to that mighty voice of truth. And what Noble says, yeah.
No, go ahead, brother. You're on this. It sounds like you're on the same note that I was about to hit on. Go ahead, brother.
So it's like what Noble Drew Ali says, Allah's in your heart. You got to listen to that voice within. And even what Rumi says, listen to that voice that does not speak. The book of Psalms, be still and know I am God. So meditate, listen to that voice within, and it will guide you. That's Allah.
All right, Morris. I mean, you're hearing this. You should hear the parallels, as the brother just pointed out. I mean, this is the same path that the Prophet Noble Drew Ali set us on, which we, just as it says here, with listening to your own inner light to discern the truth, or to know what the truth is. We're going within. The truth is art. Art is Allah. So we're going within and do this work, and this is why it's so important for us to stress, as the brother just said, meditation, prayer, quieting the mind, training ourselves to connect to the higher self. So it's the same thing. And I just wanted to say that and give the floor back to you, brother.
Thank you, my brother. And yeah, that's absolutely right. We must take time to reflect on Allah. In the Sufi path, they call this muraqabah, and they tell us that one moment of reflection, just thinking about your creator, is better than, worship in some cases. All right, moving on. Now, there's always an inner temple and outer temple, right? You have the Zahir, which is the exoteric outer, and the Batin, which is the esoteric inner. Zahir refers to the outer dimensions of the Islamic faith and what the outsider sees initially, such as the community, prayers, the mosques, the charities, basic teachings. In Freemasonry, this can be seen as the lodge community events, the fish fries that the Prince Hall brothers do, the pancake breakfast, the charities, and other outreach programs that the community comes to know the people as. Batin refers to the inner spiritual dimensions and what the only true initiate of the heart will have access to. The eye of providence knows who to select. In Sufism, the inner mysteries are revealed by the divine for those worthy. In Freemasonry, this can extend to special invitational only esoteric bodies that one cannot petition or apply for. You have to be seen as worthy and chosen. So it's not even about you being Master Mason or Worshipful Master or Past Master. There are some doors where they come to you like you can't go to them. It's, the true with any path. Now, you have to be a salik, right, in this path, the traveling man. Shout out to Mos Def for that song, I'm a traveling man. And a salik or a salik is a follower of Sufism from the verb salaka, which means to travel or follow, related to suluk, pathway. Suluk here specifically refers to a spiritual path or the combination of the two paths that can be followed in religion. the exoteric path or Sharia, and the esoteric path or Hakika to find God. In Freemasonry, one who is a traveling man represents a worthy brother on his journey towards the east from darkness to true Masonic light. Masons refer to each other as traveling men, while in Sufism, those that are a traveling man are referred to as saliks. This basically means that this world is a spiritual school that we're in, and we're just traveling through this life. Our souls, it came to this life. We're in these avatars right now. And then, yeah, we take the lessons and we go to the next realm. So most people do not know, even on Crowley. I even wrote a book on Crowley and Islam as well, that he was a Sufi initiate and Freemason. Now, Alif, Lam, Mim, those are like some of the hidden words of Allah or the hidden names of Allah. Alif, I am. Lam, an abbreviation of Allah. Mim, an abbreviation of Al-Alim or the knowing, means I am Allah, the knowing. Crowley was initiated in 1904 by a Sufi sheikh in Egypt, and it details in his book, The Confessions. Crowley recited Surah Al-Ikhlas, Declaration of God, from the Qur'an continuously. Some say it was 111 times, some say it was 1,111 times, without any break consecutively. Afterwards is when he opens the inner gateway and is inspired by Lam, Allah, to write the book of the law. Thelemites have Islamic influences and respect Islam as much as did their founder, who was also a Mason. Surah Al-Ikhlas translation, right? And of course, if you look at their systems, the AA, the EGC, they regard the Prophet Muhammad as a grand magus and a saint of the EGC. So Surah Ikhlas translation is, in the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful. He is Allah, the one and only, right? Allah, the eternal, absolute. He begetteth not, nor is he begotten, and there is none like unto him. And in Arabic, you recite that, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Qul huwa Allahu ahad, Allahu samad, Lam yalid wa lam yulad wa lam yakul lahu kufuwan ahad. So he's the one, the perfect. He begetteth not, nor is he begotten. So that's another secret from the Western occultists, that they don't talk about Crowley and his Islamic influence. And this is him wearing a turban in Egypt. Wow. Now, Insan al-Kamil, the goal of the Mason or the Sufi is to become the Insan al-Kamil, the perfect man. You have divinity within you. If you look at the Insan al-Kamil, right, he's doing a very familiar pose that Masons see, right? He's holding up his hands. So Insan al-Kamil is, you have to find Allah within you. You are Allah. Now, there's also free will, where the Sufi Masonic importance of free will and accord, you get out what you put in. So free will, it's like in Islam, there shall be no compulsion in matters of faith. Holy Quran, Surah 2, verse 257, and Surah 53, verse 40, and that man will have nothing but he strives for. And of course, there is no evidence to indicate that each man's life is preordained, and that he has no choice or option in choosing between good and bad, right and wrong. The Holy Quran categorically rejects the concept of compulsion and clearly states that every human being is free to choose between good and evil. This is also where Crowley took, do what thou wilt, right? So this is it. It's all about free will. Allah has given you the intellect to know between right and wrong, and you, the human being, should know how to lead your life. Now we come to Rosicrucianism. I wrote a book on this as well, and even did a presentation that Christian Rosencreutz, or the Holy Cross, right, with the red rose, he was initiated by the Sufis in North Africa and what we know as the so-called Middle East. You know, it's not even the Middle East. It's actually, if you really look at it, it's part of Africa. That all that land before becoming colonized was all Africa, including Egypt and all of that. So he was initiated by the Ikhwan al-Safa. And the rose predates Rosicrucianism. This is the Qadiriya Sufi order, which I also belong to. And this is the symbol of the rose, which means the mystical union with God. And that title, the Rose of Baghdad, was given to Sheikh Abdul Qadir al-Jilani of Baghdad, who's the Grand Master and founder of the Qadiriyya Sufi order. So again, see, that's the thing. And just for the record, for the brothers and sisters out there, I have resigned in good standing from Freemasonry because I realized whether it was the Crowley system, the Rosicrucian system, the Freemasonry system, they took everything from us, from Islam, without giving us any credit. So again, this presentation is to teach you the parallel comparisons that they took it all from us. We don't need to pay them to join their organizations or to be under their control or have them give something back to us in a washed down, repackaged, watered down way, So again, it's all for us. And look at the verses of the Holy Quran, which pertain to each degree of Blue Lodge Masonry. The first degree, entered apprentice, darkness to light. Chapter 2, verse 257. Allah is the guardian and protector of the believers. He brings them out of darkness and into light, which in the entered apprentice, they tell you, do not fear any danger and walk your path, right? It's quite obvious. The second degree, the fellowcraft, the knowledge of the arts and sciences, chapter 58, verse 11 of the Holy Quran of Mecca. You who believe, if you are told to make room for one another in your meetings, right, then do so and God will make room for you. And if you are told to rise up like they do when the gavel is hit, do so. God will raise up by many degrees those of you who believe and those who have been given knowledge. He is fully aware of what you do. And in the fellowcraft degree, you're taught about the middle chamber and the stairway to God and the knowledge of the liberal arts and sciences. Going to the Master Mason degree, chapter 21, verse 35, is that every soul will taste death, right? The Master Mason degree, for those that know. We test you with good and evil as a trial. So it's telling you both good and evil come from God. But you must know with your free will to do what's right. And then to us you will be returned. So the memento mori on how the Masons always have the skulls, it's about reminding them of death. That's why the Muslim never fears death in war, in battle, in times of war and peace. So this is all the stuff that they've taken from us anyway. Now, in the Royal Arch, right, for those that went to the Royal Arch, I've been through all of the degrees. This is where they unveil each unveiling, where you see the holiness to the Lord. Now, the stage that the Sufi gets to when he removes the veils and knows the glory and holiness of God, the Sufi's journey is at a conclusion when he comes to this gnosis and unity with his beloved, Allah. The Sufi who reaches this stage becomes clairvoyant and one with spirit. It's like Brother Lloyd, like some of the brothers that I've seen in Philly, the Moors, they could look at me and see my whole life. They had that vision, that gnosis. I had this one Moorish brother in 2013 before I even became a Mason or a Sufi. He's like, have you ever looked into Sufism? And I was so shocked. And, I think about that brother till this day. I never seen him again. So there are Moorish brothers out there who are clairvoyant. This is what the Royal Arch symbolic represents. In Royal Arch, you also see that your true journey as a Master Mason continues beyond craft masonry or Blue Lodge. You see the holiness of the Lord and the removal of veils as you go from raised to exalted. So it's not even the true Master Mason is the one who's the Royal Arch Mason. Now, the Kashaf, right, removing the veils to know God. The 7 veils to the Grand Architect of the universe. The letter G, God, the 7th letter, right? You go around the Kaaba 7 times. Reason, knowledge, the heart, the self, senses, desire, and will. Only the true seeker will find God's reality, which can be found through self-realization. Know thyself, know thy Lord, know thy Lord, know thyself. It's like when Neo goes to the Oracle in the Matrix. She points up at the sign in Latin that says, know thyself. You are given the tools, but must do the work yourself. Sufism is aimed at lifting the symbolic veil between the heart of the believer and the true reality of God. La ilaha illallah, there is no God but God. Now, Tassawuf, right? Tassawuf is the Sufi path. These were the wearers of wool and the people of the bench. The Sufis are wearers of wool, right? in Suf, that's what it's called in Arabic, that exemplify the prophets and teachers of purity. The wool is also worn by Knights Templars, as the Grand Master of the first, right, the first order, Hugo de Paynes, was a Moorish Sufi who initiated him in the mysteries, his grandfather. Now, these are people known as people of the bench that were initiated into inner Islam. And similar to Mark 4:11, where Jesus tells his disciples that there will be those of you that will be taught the inner mysteries. Those that don't get it, you're going to be taught in parables. So Islam has an inner temple and outer temple as well. Now, to follow Tassawuf, which means good character and being aware of self and Allah, God. Everything is about the heart and purification of self. And the true initiation happens from the heart. Now, if you look at the 3 stages, right, it's similar to the degrees, where the first stage is fighting the ego and coming to light, right? The second stage is to unite with the grand architect of the universe. You have Hakika, Tarika, you have Marifa, the X of know thyself and know thy Lord, full gnosis. Then you also realize that this world is separated in four veils, which is matter, earth, water, air, and ether. This is this world we're in right now, the aspect of knowing God and the world. The second world is the spiritual beings, the jinns, the angels, heaven and hell, cause and effect. The third is the source of the lost word, the hidden tablet, the knowledge of spirit, what people call the Akashic records. The fourth realm is the realm of the grand architect of the universe, his pure essence. God is the only reality. And the Sufis' goal is to, unite with their beloved, which is God. Now, we realize that Islam and the Sufi path is the 3 stages of realization: Iman, Islam, and Ihsan. The first is Iman, which is belief, faith, secrecy, and full trust in the grand architect of the universe. That's the inner apprentice degree. The second degree, the fellowcraft, is Islam, submission, obedience, knowledge, and practice, to reflect on your growth and continue the pursuit of knowledge, fellowcraft. The third is Ihsan, a righteous, upright character, and living a good life with the time you've been granted, the Master Mason, and how the Prophet Muhammad says you have to die before you die. Now, all 3 stages, right, be honored fully, or you are just following mere rituals without, and inevitably leading to hypocrisy. You must practice what you preach, otherwise it's all meaningless and wasted effort. There is a difference between a learning phase and an application phase of knowledge. And you need a guide and a mentor. No egoism or individualism. It's like in the Sufi path, you need a sheikh. When you go into the Moorish Science Temple, you need a brother to guide you, a sheikh, an adept to guide you. So we're practically walking each other home. We do need someone to help us out in our knowledge and understanding of the self and the world around us. Now, my brother, most people do not know that the Prophet Muhammad was a widow's son. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, lost his father at a young age and was raised by his mother, a widow, till the age of 6. And then he married Khadija, the widow, at age 25. He had said, I have come to perfect the adab, character of mankind, right? Masonry, it's about perfecting your character. He established religious and racial freedom with his decrees, dealing of Hazrat Bilal, who was a slave, an African slave who was being abused by the pale Arabs and the Quraysh tribes at that time, and he was able to get him freedom. Covenant with the monks of St. Catherine Monastery and the Constitution of Medina, which gave rights to Jews, Christians who were persecuted by the pagan tribes. Prophet Muhammad instructed mankind to become one ummah, community, and be on the level, and instructed to take care of widows and orphans, the Bukhari and Muslim hadiths. So basically, he was teaching us that it's not even about what religion you're following or who you are. If you're an upright, righteous human being with a good character, then in the eyes of Allah, you are okay. So everything is quite simple. It's mankind that has everything twisted. Now, most people, like in the Masonic path, right? They're always looking for the lost word of God, right? We're looking for the lost word. And in Islam, the 99 names of Allah, one of the names is Al-Basir, the all-seeing. He is aware of the deeds done in darkness. And the camel knows the 100th name of God, which starts with the letter G. And that's the beautiful thing. Even if, because see, it's the Moors that had instructed many of these initiatic paths, and how all of it leads back to Islam to a certain extent. So we must realize that Allah is the ultimate reality, and we must continue to know that He's always watching us, and we must live a life in striving for the goodness of God and ourselves. Now, when Malcolm X went to the holy city of Mecca in the east, he saw that everyone was equally divested and on the level, wearing the ihram, which, comes up to Hiram. So everyone becomes Hiram, where everyone is equal as brothers. And if you look at the lambskin, the innocence of a lambskin Master Mason apron, the Master Mason, when they're sitting in a lodge together, right, they're all equal and on the level. And that's something that's from Islam, where no matter you're a CEO, a janitor, no matter who you are, everyone's kind of on the level and equally divested. And that's what impacted Malcolm X as well when he went to Mecca. Now, it's all about being on the level, right? If you look at, let's say, the Scottish Rite House of the Temple in Washington, D.C., as much as I don't agree with the lodge system and Grand Lodge system anymore, this is what it truly represents. Like the esoteric and spiritual teaching of it, from the parallel comparison, is you'll have all of the holy books on the altar. And Holy Quran, Surah 2, verse 62, tells you those who believe in the Quran and those who follow the Jewish scriptures and the Christians and the Sabians, any who believe in Allah in the last day and work righteousness shall have their reward with their Lord. On them shall be no fear, nor shall they grieve. So, right, it's like our relatives or people that we love. Some might be Muslim, some might be Christian, but that's illogical, right? That they might be the most beautiful human beings that you know, but just because they don't believe what you believe, they're going to hell. Allah is not that cruel. Allah is merciful. And that's why I appreciate Moorish science, where they give credit to Jesus, to Muhammad, Noble Drew Ali. They give equal reverence to all of the teachers. And Holy Quran, Surah 49, verse 10, that the believers are but one brotherhood. So make peace between your true brothers and be mindful of God, so that you may be given mercy. And a lot of the Masons like to use Psalms 133, behold, how good it is for brethren to dwell in unity. So all of this is just teaching us to just love and respect each other and be one brotherhood. And Allah does say in Surah 2, Surah Baqarah, verse 285, that we make no distinction between any of his messengers.
That's
So
it right there. Yeah.
Each nation and tribe gets sent their messenger. So Noble Drew Ali is a prophet of Allah. He was sent here to the wilderness of North America to lift the people out of darkness to light. And again, I reiterated, if it wasn't for the sacrifices of Noble Drew Ali, all these people that are in this country, whether it's Pakistanis, Bangladeshis, Indians, whatever, Arabs, they could not practice their Islam peacefully. We owe that debt to the our Moorish brothers and sisters, or what the system likes to call, the so-called black brothers and sisters, whether it's the NOI, the Moors, the 5%ers. We owe a big debt to you all, because if it wasn't for you all, then we couldn't practice our Islam here, because white supremacy wouldn't let us do it. They wouldn't let me, teach about Islam and Masonry openly. That's why, I'm doing my own thing. They took it all from us anyway.
Islam, brother, agreed. And yeah, definitely open up the doors for people from all over the world to come and practice their religion, especially Islam. But whatever form of belief or practice that they had, So yeah, definitely, it's something that should be respected, just across the board. Um, I'm glad you shared the verse. I think it's Surah 2, verse 285. We make no distinction between any messengers, and you see that same message throughout the Holy Quran over and over again, where we send a messenger to every nation, to every ummah, to every people, you know, and yeah, this Allah is obviously not going to contradict himself, but that's the core message you see repeated throughout the Quran. You send a
Yep.
messenger to every people. Everyone gets a shot, or gets some assistance in getting right, pointing back in the right direction.
And you know what's interesting? This is a Sufi secret that I want to share. I hope my friend doesn't get mad at me. So he told me that the most special people of Allah are the so-called African American people, because when they say that brother's got soul, when Adam and Eve were cast down right to earth, it was Sri Lanka and Africa, right? Those consecutive places. And the most soul, right, was placed in to our African American brothers and sisters. That's why in sports, entertainment, music, and all of the arts and sciences, like, it's quite obvious there's something different about them compared to like the rest of the people that we see out there. So the soul of Allah, the most, we're all equal at the end of the day, but that special, that special spark is within our Moorish brothers and sisters. And that is a teaching one of my Sufi brothers gave me. So now we get to the cable toe and unity and charity, helping each other if within capability to do so. So the Holy Quran, Surah 3, right, chapter 3, verses 103, it tells you about the cable toe when they, teach you that in Masonry, where hold fast together to the cable of Allah, God, and be not divided. Remember the blessing that Allah bestowed upon you. You were once enemies, right? Then he brought your hearts together so that through his blessing you became brothers. It's like Masonry, right? It unites men of every country, every religion, race, and conciliates true friendship among those who might have otherwise have remained at a perpetual distance. So in the entered apprentice degree, like let's say, they put the cable toe. So if your faith gets shaken a bit, that cable toe of God yanks you right back. So it's about holding fast together to the cable of Allah. Everything is about proper vetting, recommendation, and mentoring, tarbiyah. So when you submit a petition to the lodge, it's basically like a prayer. It's not even like a petition. It's the prayer of your petition being heard. And you have to truly be about it for you to gain anything. Proper recommendation of the seeker is needed, or the sheikh, worshipful master, and the proposer, recommender, have to deal with spiritual consequences from God. The seeker must be of a pure heart, intent, and soul. Once initiated, the seeker must be carefully mentored and counseled. So it's about quality over quantity, uplift the seeker's heart so he can do that for others. Just like the Moorish Science Temple of America, you can't just bring anyone in there. You have to know that that person, he or she, truly wants it.
Oh yeah, definitely, especially with the 8th chamber. Islam, brother.
Yep. And now we see, right, moving on to the Islamic lunar cycle, where most people don't know that there are Masonic moonlight lodges, even the lodge on the moon, right? And it's not uncommon for Masonic lodges to meet at the full moon cycle, right? Where the meetings always happen after 7 p.m., 7:30, when it's the evening time, when the moon comes out. This is the origin of the tradition. In some jurisdictions, that a lunar month was the minimum time between degrees. In Islam, the lunar months are also followed for practices, holidays, observances, ceremonies, etc. And there are still lodges that follow this, right? The moon, the 33-year cycles. Most people don't know about the Ikhwan al-Safa. And even if you look at Mackey's Masonic Encyclopedia, the second edition, number 2, on page 601, they're referred to as the Freemasons of Basra, 9th century, which predates 1717, right? And the above image resembles the 3 lights, the sun, the moon, and the sheikh, the worshipful master. Now, their ranks were by age, where at 15 years old, you were a craftsman. At 30, you were the leaders. 40 years old, the kings. 50, you were known as the prophets and philosophers. and they taught esoteric occult knowledge with their 52 epistles, influenced Christian Rosencreutz and the Knights Templars, and the pre-1717, where they say Masons were founded in 1717, with that whole England narrative.
Yeah.
And this is the Bektashi Sufi order right here on the left side, where you got the sun, the moon, and the worshipful master. And on the right is the Masonic equivalent of the sun, the moon, the worshipful master, the three lights. Now, most people don't know, like, see, in Masonry, they always talk about the sprig of acacia, which represents the immortality of the soul. And the pledge of the tree of acacia is in the Quran, Surah 48, verse 18, where, it goes as follows, where Allah was pleased with the believers when they were pledging allegiance with you by placing their hands in your hands under the tree, right? The companions, brethren of Muhammad, the widow's son, taking the oath of Rizwan under the acacia tree. This pleased Allah, God. The companions were rewarded with eternal paradise and a tree of heaven native to desert areas of the Islamic world. In Freemasonry, the acacia tree, right, symbolized the immortality of the soul, that the Master Mason will always live on even after you leave from this life. And look, right, if you look at the Masonic Lodge, right, you got the altar, you got the pillars, looks just like the Kaaba. I mean, what are the Masons doing? They're going around it in circles, the rite of circumambulation. What are the Muslims doing on the right side in Mecca in the east? Same exact thing, right? And most people don't know that inside this brick temple, right, the house of God, the perfect ashlar temple of God, are the pillars and the altar. Now, this is the cool part, where the magic carpet that you see in Aladdin, right, that's the Islamic prayer rug, the oblong square shaped, which tells you that you are the temple. You see the Kaaba and the archways and the pillars on the rug. So when you pray, you're basically elevating your soul. That's the magic carpet. Any Sufi order, if you're not praying 5 times a day, they won't even let you join, if it's like a real legit Sufi order. So you got to establish your salat. Everything is about making your prayer on time. And if your prayer is on time, then you're on the magic carpet. Your soul's elevated. That's Aladdin's magic carpet. You got to pray. You got to connect with Allah. Pray, meditate.
Islam. That's beautiful, because it's building discipline, spiritual discipline, making sure you set aside that time every day, part of connecting to the unseen, connecting to Allah. Islam.
Yeah, definitely. It's all about prayer, because Allah says that the reason I created mankind and jinn is to worship me. Allah was a hidden treasure who wished to be known. Hence it created creation so it could be known. So if you love and respect Allah around you and within yourself, then you're fulfilling your purpose. Do good unto all, right? Especially even the Masonic charges that tell you do good unto all human beings, and everyone has a claim upon your kind offices. So that's it. We're just here to love each other, respect each other, pray to Allah, connect with ourselves. If we do that, we fulfill our purpose, and that's pretty much it. So in the entered apprentice degree, you're given the 24-inch gauge, right? The tool. And that's basically telling you that the teachings of Islam concerning social responsibilities are based on kindness and consideration of others. Of course, your first obligation is to your family, right? Our families. Then to other relatives, neighbors, friends and acquaintances, orphans and widows. The needy of the community, our fellow Muslims, and all our fellow human beings and animals. So that's something that is already in Islam. Now, of course, most people don't know about the Kingdom of Hawaii. So if you see the banner of the Kingdom of Hawaii, right, this is 500 years before America was even founded. And you see the 2 Moors holding up the banner of the Kingdom of Hawaii. And if you see the last king of Hawaii, he was an Islamic Shriner. Most people do not know that in America, in all 50 states, Hawaii is the only state to celebrate Islam as a state holiday. They call it Islam Day. So no other American state celebrates Islam. It's like a state holiday. And most people don't know that. On the bottom, you see the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, outside of the U.S. Supreme Court, right, where they consider him one of the greatest lawgivers. There's a plaque of him, and even Thomas Jefferson's Quran. Morocco, right, was the first country to recognize America. And of course, we have the letter of George Washington to the Sultan of Morocco, thanking him for the dominions. On top, you see Jamal el-Afghani, who was the Sufi master, who had even visited the parents of Noble Drew Ali in the late 1800s in the wintertime in Chicago. Because this Sufi master, and he was a Mason, he knew that there would emerge a being from these parents who would establish the first Islamic presence in America. It's like, Semiyata Khan, right? And in the NOI, there are these ascended beings who already know of the who, what, where, and why, and they just go and plant the seeds and just let it sprout. Now, if you look at the Oriental room, this is in Philly at the Masonic Temple, right? They have a whole room, a lodge, dedicated to the Moors, right? It's like an Oriental room designed after the Moorish influence in Spain. And there are the Royal Arch degrees happen in this room, including the lodges that meet here for their degrees as well. So it looks like a masjid. And on the left, you see the Faisal Masjid in Islamabad, Pakistan, which was also designed by a Turkish Freemason named Vlad Deloke, right? And you look at the pillars, right? You look at the square and the compass, and you look at the symbol of Islam on top. And this is like a tourist attraction in Pakistan. So this masjid, this landmark in Pakistan, was designed by a Muslim Freemason from Turkey. On the right, of course, you got the Oriental room in the Grand Lodge of PA. Now, if you look at the pillars, right, it's basically jihad with the self. So your greatest war is with yourself and honoring the pillars, right? Tuscan, Dorian, Ionic, Corinthian, and Composite, where your ultimate struggle is against your own self. Shahada, right? The declaration, Salat, prayer, Psalm, fasting, Hajj, pilgrimage, and Zakat. So you have to do all these things.
If I could get you to pause right there.
Yes, sir.
I've read that, it basically that when people join the shrine, that they basically take the Shahada, the declaration, and there's no but Allah. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, definitely, my brother. I've been a part of the Shriners, and I'm like, yo, what the hell is this? Like, they're talking about taking an oath to Allah, the God of our fathers, and but I realized because they use Islam as a sport, my brother, because in Surah 5 of the Holy Quran, it tells us, do not take for friends those that take your religion as a sport, right? And the Shriners are known for drinking, which is against Islam. They're wearing the fezzes. And if you look at some of the old TV shows, these people know, right? They actually have these like blackface characters. It's all racist stuff, wearing the fezzes and stuff. So they know. It's like even in the John Wick movie, John Wick 3. John Wick is basically a Mason, right? With the black suit, the white shirt, and the black tie. And he goes to the east, right? And the Moor that's there, the person in charge of the whole thing, he says, my son, Mason, why have you been so lost from me? It's about traveling to the east to find light. And these Europeans were cast from the east into the west to wander in darkness. They were kicked out because of, what they've been doing. And they're still doing it to this day. Even in the Gaza situation, right? Those people are not indigenous to that land. So that's just what it is. They taken everything from Islam, and it's kind of satanically inverted. And the lodge, Grand Lodge system, once you join it, you'll start having health problems, money problems, problems with your relationships. Like, it's just like a lot of weird stuff that starts happening with you in your life. And you realize that, okay, everything is in Islam. What am I paying these people for? It's like any other fraternity, right? Full of bullies and scumbags. And you realize that, okay, you know what? I'm good. I'm going to do my own thing. And Islam already gives us everything. And I think we need to have that like fortitude within us that, you know, there are, let's say, out of a 10, there might be good white people. You know, I'm not generalizing all of them, but at the end of the day, no matter how much acceptance you try to seek, you know, they will never like you or give you credit or give any credit to your system. That's what encouraged me to write the books, make the videos, and do all of that in between. Because even now, you know, the system that we're dealing with, it's actually becoming more racist than before. So I think every good brother out there needs to take these things into their own hands and be the change that they wish to see. Now,
Okay.
most people,
Before you say anything on that, just want to say I agree with you here. You see the comment on the screen. Definitely, people appreciating the truth being shared. And yeah, you know, we need to work together. Nobody else is going to set things straight. Nobody's going to come and make things better except for us. You know, we have the power to change it. With Islam, we do the work on ourselves to improve ourselves, you know, to perfect ourselves, to unify ourselves with Allah. And in doing so, you know, we can actually have a positive influence on the rest of the world. When you were speaking earlier about the so-called black people, right? Um, One of the things I wanted to say, I didn't have time to say it at that moment, but um, I think one of the reasons our communities are in the position that they're in now is so that we could fall to our lowest low, come into Islam, and then do that work to show, to, as it says in our Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America, to be the strength of Allah manifest, to show people what can be possible. Because I think our plight has been played out for the whole world to see. Everyone's seen rap videos and seen the negative imagery, the world star videos, the broken homes, the doing and selling drugs. Everybody's seen that negative imagery of us. You know, many people, they don't want their children to play with us or to, you know, to socialize with us because they've seen the community in a broken position. But once we actually begin to do this work to turn things around so that we're no longer wicked, right? We actually doing what we're supposed to be doing. That can have a huge impact on the world because even in our state of ignorance, we still have influence. People are emulating the negative things that they're getting, that's being played out to the world. I mean, I used to live in a country where everybody spoke Portuguese in Brazil, and they're seeing and acting and talking and moving like so-called Black Americans, Moors, right? And they're getting the negative aspect. So that when we flip it around to the positive, we can actually begin to uplift fallen humanity. I just wanted to add that to what you were saying, brother.
no, I think that's absolutely beautiful, my brother, because Noble Drew Ali has said that I have given you all the tools, right, and all of the information to save yourself. So the Prophet Noble Drew Ali has given us all of the knowledge, the wisdom, and you have reiterated that beautifully. So he's given us everything. Now we must take that and save ourselves, whether it's through nationality or uplifting our communities. And there's a book that I recommend. It's called the Jews that wanted to dominate the Negroes. Right? It's about like who owned the slave ships, and if you look at it now, who owns the record labels, who owns the porn industry, who owns sports, like who's owned the prison systems, right? Where they own the rappers, they own them, the music, they're promoting this negativity in the black communities, right? Bitches and hoes killing each other, whipping each other. They were making the brothers whip each other in the slave ships and then put them in the same prison system that they own. So the brothers and sisters have to wake up. If look at how they view you, right? Through the rap industry, degrading your image in front of other human beings and people, ghetto gaggers and all that stuff. I'm imploring my Moorish brothers and sisters, stop participating with these people and take your communities, take your brothers and sisters, uplift them, and save your women and save your children. That's the best thing you could do. So moving on, we see here with Saladin, right? Saladin and Richard the Lionheart. Most people do not know that Saladin and Richard were Masonic brothers, right? And anytime Richard and Saladin would meet each other, they would meet and shake their hands with the lion's grip, Richard the Lionheart. And there will be times where Richard and Saladin would save each other's lives in moments of danger. So it's like the American Civil War. Brothers on opposite sides of the conflict, when they identified each other as Masons, they saved each other's lives. So that's how it is. So ultimately, it's about reflecting on death, where you have to die before you die, the ultimate fate, the third degree, where every living being shall taste death, from the Holy Quran, Surah 21, verse 35. And we shall subject you to ill and good by way of trial, and to us, all of you will be eventually sent back. So it's just about reflecting on your deeds, that you're here in this spiritual school and do right with the time you've been given. That's pretty much it. It doesn't get more simpler than that. Now we look at the Sufis in Istanbul, 15th century, right before the so-called founding of Masonry in 1717, where the Moors, you look at it, right? You got the hourglass, you got the astronomy, all of the stars have Arabic names, because Arabic and Latin were languages of the Moors, right? You have the square and the compasses, right? The geometric tools of logic, rhetoric, grammar, astronomy, geometry, arithmetic, music. So this is all our stuff. And even Rumi, the Sufi master Rumi, says that every moment I shape my destiny with a chisel, I am the carpenter of my own soul. So again, it all comes down to know thyself. And Star Wars, you got to be the Jedi. And the Jedi, al-Jedi, is an Arabic word, which means the master of the way. And if you look at the Sudanese rebels in Africa, right, the Sudan rebels, their logo of resistance was right here, right? This Star Wars took that from them. So being a Jedi is about being the Sufi master, right? You must hone that force within. So it is that they took that from us as well. Now, Suleiman al-Hakim, right? Solomon the Wise, King Solomon, he was Prophet Suleiman, God's worker and messenger. And the original symbol right here is an Islamic symbol of protection against jinns and magic. So they, took that from us as well, right? Everything got colonized and inverted. And if you look at the Arabic numbers, like if you look at gematria, right? Everyone's crazy about gematria these days. And if you type the word Freemasonry, the Jewish cipher gives you 787, right? And look, 787, that's the Masonic symbol, the square and the compass, if you put it together, right? And 787, what does that represent numerically? Bismillahir-Rahmanir-Rahim. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful. So all these Masons walking around with the square and compass, that's Bismillahir-Rahmanir-Rahim, in the name of Allah. And they don't even know about it.
Yeah. Some of them would be angry to hear that, man.
Yep. Yeah, let them be angry because they stole it all from us anyway. Colonizers. So yeah, moving on. So Freemasonry is open to those who believe in a supreme being, right? And the Quran, Surah 256, right? No compulsion in religion. Surah 2, verse 257, from darkness to life, a darkness towards light. Mimin amzulamati ilay an-nuri. It's all about heading towards the light. Now, most people don't know, like, how in the Masonic Lodge, you have the Tylers protecting the lodges. Now, the Bani Sheba, or the sons of Sheba, right? Queen Sheba, who was King Solomon's wife as well, are an Arab tribe that hold the keys to the Kaaba. They're called the sons of the old woman, right? The widow's sons. The priests of the sacred shrine are still known as the Bani Sheba, or the sons of the old woman, widow's sons. They are the Tylers, guardians of the Kaaba. And if you look them up, they're Moorish brothers, right? Like the royal executioner of Saudi Arabia, the dark-skinned Arabs, the original ones, the ones you even see on their soccer team. So those are the original guys, not the ones that you see today. And look, Sahih Bukhari, one of the Hadiths, Volume 1, Book 3, number 120, where Abu Huraira narrates that I have memorized two kinds of knowledge from Allah's messenger, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. I have propagated one of them to you, and if I propagate the second, then my throat will be cut off. And this is like the Inner Apprentice, right, where they tell you like not to talk about anything, or the penalty where your throat will be cut. So they took that from Islam, to keep certain knowledge secret. What is the goal of the true Sufi and Mason? The goal of the Sufi is to become one with his beloved, grand architect of the universe, and to become better in his adab, in his character, and being to honor self and his humanity. The goal of the Mason is to believe in God, honor his brothers, smooth his ashlar, and be a better man. So tawakkul means you trust God and Allah, no matter how rough life gets. Just because things might seem hopeless now, that doesn't mean that you're not walking in the path of light. Continue to trust and you will see the light. Tawheed, belief in a supreme being. So they took that from Islam, right? Tawheed, 2 paths, 1 destination. So again, this is my presentation. Thank you for watching. If any questions or comments, please email me, SalmanSheikh911, and of course, at gmail.com. And of course, it's all for fair use education. Now we go to the Q&A.
All right, brother. First off, I just want to thank you. This is a masterful presentation. I think just from looking at the feedback from our watchers, man, people are loving this. I definitely appreciate you. Really, I did see. I think I did see some questions in the chat.
Yeah.
I'll scroll through and see if we can pull some of them up. But yeah, just wanted to say again, masterful job. And before we go forward, want to remind everybody, check out, this is the brother's new book. Is this your latest book?
Yes, my brother. This right here. Thank you for that. The Parallel Teachings of Islam, Sufism, and Freemasonry. And I also recommend to my Moorish brothers and sisters, get this book, Unlocking the Keys by Brother Lloyd Douglas L. This book is amazing. Please get this. If you were to get any book, get this book, Unlocking the Keys by Brother Lloyd Douglas L. You could get it from Amazon or message him directly on how you can purchase this. In my studies of Moorish science, this is the best book that I have read. Like after the Circle 7 Quran of Noble Drew Ali, this should be on your reading list. This is essential. And I implore all of the grand sheikhs of all of the temples, please have this book in your library.
Gratitude, brother. And that's just one contribution I'm put forth just to do my part in that great task of uplifting fallen humanity.
Yes, sir.
Taking our understanding further and what we're actually here to do. There was a question. Now there was a couple of questions in here, but I did find one. This brother DM, he was asking about the black stone. I believe maybe this is back when we were talking about the Kaaba.
Yeah.
Saying that he's asking if there's any commentary that you may have on the black stone and the white stone. It's referenced in Revelations 2 verse 6. We can pull that up if you like.
Yeah, so Revelations 2:6, basically, Jesus commends the church in Ephesus for hating the deeds of the Nicolaitans, which he also hates. So when the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, came to the picture, he went to the Quraysh tribe, who were the pagan Arabs ruling at that time, and he smashed up their statues, those pagan idols, and he told them, you have to believe in Allah. And in Islam, if you do not believe in Jesus, you cannot be a Muslim, because you must believe in the Bible, the Torah, the Quran, because it tells us Islam was revealed in stages, like how the degrees of Masonic degrees are revealed in stages. Islam, in Surah 5 of the Holy Quran, Allah says, now I have perfected your religion. So I cannot be a Muslim unless I believe in Jesus, his second coming, his virgin birth, his mother Mary. So Islam is basically like all of that, right? It's about believing in God, honoring the prophets, and basically standing against those who are committing shirk, like the Nicolaitans, right? They were committing shirk, just like how the prophet went inside Mecca and smashed up all of their pagan gods and statues. So that's, what that is basically.
All right, gratitude for just for sharing your insight on that verse. And I'm still looking at there were a couple other questions. Now looks like Gerard Esposito, he's asking, what are your thoughts about what happens after death?
So after death, my brother, basically in Islam, they tell us about the angels that come into your grave, and they ask us what was your religion, who is your Lord, who was your prophet. So after death is basically you have the scales of Mizan, where your heart is weighed on a scale, and just an atom's worth of faith will help you go to the other side. So, it's just like everything is Islam since the beginning of time. What Noble Drew Ali teaches us, that time never was when man was not. And Islam is basically the same thing. It has existed since the beginning of time. And the Prophet Muhammad said that I was a prophet 70,000 years before Adam even came to the earth, when he was stuck between clay and water, like between creation and destruction. So basically, after death, your heart gets weighed on a scale. It's not about you going to the church or the mosque or the synagogue or whoever you were claiming to be, as Holy Quran, Surah 2, verse 62 tells you, to be a righteous human being. So if you are a righteous human being, you have nothing to worry about. And after death, you go to paradise, inshallah. And you have because this life, to tell us, this life is a dream. So the next life after this, when you wake up, that's when you will be given the reward of you either passing this test of this human life or failing this test. But Allah is merciful. Allah always forgives you.
Right. Gratitude for speaking on that, brother. That was beautiful. I did. Now there were a couple other questions. I'm trying to scroll up. It looks like there's so many people in the chat. And I just want to thank everybody for communicating in the chat. Hopefully everybody's hitting the like and share button and has done so already. But yeah, we have so many questions in here. And there's so much going on in the chat. Let me see if we can just look at the book. I do have a couple things in here highlighted. Maybe we can speak on some of those things before we close out.
Yeah.
Don't want to take up too much of your time, brother. Of course, we can always speak again. This forum is open to you.
Appreciate it.
Anytime you want to speak, share anything with us, the forum's open to you. Just reach out to me and let me know, and we'll carry things on from there. But
Thank you.
speaking about Sufism now, Sufism, you did say it's the science of purification. Can you speak about that just a little bit more? You you spoke about the energy had, the great struggle, which all Moorish Americans should be familiar with. But please
Yeah.
just speak a little bit more about Sufism.
So Sufism is basically taskiya ul nafs, right? The purification of the heart and the soul. So basically, it's all about chipping away at your bad habits, at your bad thoughts, any bad lifestyle choices. Ultimately, it's you becoming one with Allah. And it's basically you purifying yourself through ritual, through dhikr, remembrance, through prayer, and just being in a state of purity where you're always thinking good, knowing good, doing good. Because this world, my brother, this world is full of trials and tribulations, especially now more than ever. So Sufism is taskiya al-nafs, which purification of the self and the heart, because in our fallen state, Noble Drew Ali's goal was to uplift fallen humanity. So Sufism is the same, where Moorish science is just another form of Sufism, where you're uplifting yourself through good characters, good knowledge, good habits, not hurting yourself, not hurting others. It's all about coming into the good graces of God and realizing God is within you. Like you're looking over here, you're looking over there, but that spirit of Allah made flesh is in a place where you least expect. So when you realize Allah is the only reality, me, you, my beloved brother, the audience, we're all a part of that one conduit. We're all mirrors experiencing itself through itself. That's the Sufi truth and gnosis.
All right, gratitude for expounding on that, brother. Now let me see. I want to get this image up here for you, and you can let me know if you've seen this before. Um, Now somebody asked a question in the chat. I'd rather pull the image up first. Have you ever seen this before? The Qur'an of the Ku Klux Klan.
Well, I mean, most people don't know that the KKK comes from the white supremacy aspects of Freemasonry. A lot of those guys that founded KKK were white Freemasons in the South, and that's why till this very day they have a hard time even dealing with the Prince Hall brothers. But yeah, it's just about satanically inverting everything, where they take our stuff, whether it's Crowley. I've pointed this out in my books and lectures. The Rosicrucians, Crowley, Freemasonry, they took everything from us and then they satanically invert it to like give it to the white man or claim to be enlightened or know it all. But they're taking everything from us. So this is just another, let's say, I guess, disrespect towards the Quran, whether it's the Mecca Quran or the Circle 7 Quran. This is what it is. It's for them. It's just about hijacking everything and satanically inverting everything. Even the fez, right? The fez is worn by nobles, but they have degraded the fez, right? And drinking. Oh, the Shriners are drinking and partying. And the Holy Quran of Mecca in Surah 5 tells you, do not take for friends those people that take your religion as a sport, where no matter how good or sincere you are, they will never like you, they will never accept you. And that's where I came, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to talk about Islam and Masonry. I'm going to make the YouTube videos. I'm going to write the book. I'm going to do everything, and I'm just going to put it out there. And it's, there's nothing special about me. In today's age of technology that we're in, every single Moorish American brother, right, has access to a medium, whether it's YouTube, TikTok, writing a book. If you got something to share to uplift your fellow brothers and sisters and uplift fallen humanity, then do it. We need you. We need your wisdom. We need your light. I don't have all the answers, right? I learned a lot from Brother Lloyd Douglas L. and from the other Moorish brothers in Philadelphia. Like, I'm learning, I don't know anything.
Likewise, brother. Yeah, I'm learning here as well, and also learning from you and your book. And I think others are learning from this presentation that you put on. So just want to make sure everybody knows. Go to the video description, get the brother's book. Also follow the brother on YouTube. We have the links in there for you. Check out his channel as well. And I think we can take one more question before we close out.
Yeah,
Before we
yeah.
move on though, going back to the Quran of the Ku Klux Klan, I think they did a lot of things maybe in mockery of us or just, inverting things because even with the dress, with wearing the all white with the, pointed kind of hood, that's something that the Moors did in Spain, like in the 13th or 11th century, right?
Yeah,
You
yeah,
actually
that's
can go
right.
back and see Moors doing that. So they got that off from us. But yeah, there was another question too, asking about Freemasonry and saying, if in your knowledge, does Freemasonry mention anything about indigenous Americans?
No, they actually don't, and they do in one part. There's a Scottish Rite. If you join the Scottish Rite after becoming a Master Mason, they have the degree called the Brother of the Forest, and they talk about in that degree how basically the brother is connecting with the Great Spirit, right? Where the Native American brother, the chief, he's reflecting on his life. He's trying to become a better person, and he reflects on the Great Spirit. And the Great Spirit is God, Allah, the Grand Architect. There's another book called American Indian Freemasonry from Arthur C. Parker, and he talks about how like the white Masons in New York, Buffalo, were initiated into the indigenous sciences by a tall, bronze-skinned guide. And he took those white Masons and initiated him into the mysteries. I even written a book on this, on the hidden Islamic history of the Native Americans in America and how the Moors were already here and these systems of initiation, right? The Great Spirit, perfecting your character, becoming one with nature, serving your communities, all of that was already there. And how the Spanish Inquisition after 1492, their goal was not only remove Islam and Moorish presence not only from Spain, but that brought them here to the Americas as well. So we look at ourselves, okay, there's something weird. Why do Hispanic, Latinos, Moors, Pakistanis, why do they sometimes look alike, and why do they sometimes share these family values, same structures, belief in family, God? Because we were all together. We have amnesia. We were all together. Even if you go to Florida, there were Hindu Moors, right, from Hindustan, or what you know as Pakistan and India today, that were here. There's paintings you could see of the goddess Kali in Florida and the Moors watching over it. So we all have amnesia. We need to do our research and know who we are and where we come from. We are powerful beings. And, you know, even with me in Pakistan, the African kings who ruled India, that's Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, before the British colonized it. You go to the Library of Congress, my language, Urdu, is a Moorish language. So we were all together at one point. But there was something that came, a devilish force that came and divided us, destroyed us, made us forget about each other. And it's still hurting us till this day. We need to come together and know who we are.
Oh yeah, agreed. Definitely agreed. And it's time for us to tell our story. And you know, in doing so, we can begin to actually put the puzzle pieces that don't make any sense back together. We can start to make sense out of things, the past, how we got into this situation, and actually how we can make things better. So it's definitely time for us, you know, collectively, regardless of different ethnicities or wherever we live in the world, we are brothers and sisters. Come
Yeah.
together, you know, have our own research teams, our own universities, our own schools, redo all of that, tell our own story, get the whole colonialism thing out of there so that we can tell our truth. And
I got a picture of an indigenous Moor that I had met while I was in Pakistan, because a lot of the descendants of those African kings are still there. If you look at the original Indians and Pakistanis, it's beautiful, brother. They're like beautiful curly hair, like caramel dark skin. And I met those people when I was in Pakistan. I have a picture in my phone. I'll show you. I met him in Karachi. Where is he? Where is he? I gotta find him. He's gotta be here somewhere. Here he is. His name is Rambo too.
wow.
So you see, look. I don't know if the phone glare is allowing you to see it.
Barely. We can't really see that good. Yeah. Well, okay, now we can. Now we can.
You
When you
see
turned
him?
it to the side, yeah. When you turned it to the side, yeah. Now we can see it.
You see him?
Yeah.
So that's an indigenous, so-called Indian Pakistani,
Yeah. Wow.
right? Those people are still there, the descendants. If you look at, because the British messed everything up in India and Pakistan, and it's all about promoting the fair-skinned people. If you look at many of the Indian women, right, the goddess Kali, right, she's a black goddess. If you look at the people that have the blue black skin, like the god Krishna, right? Like those people are still there. This is one of the people that I had met in Karachi. That's me next to him. See?
Wow.
So
Yeah.
those
Yeah,
those
man. A couple years ago, I saw this. It was a
she's still
skin
there.
bleaching commercial, and it was in India, and it was
Uh-huh.
so messed up. It showed a lady. She was darker skinned. She couldn't get any promotion, and then she like went and lightened her skin up, and then everybody loved her and was promoting her. So it's sad that that's still going out in the world. It's even happening over here in the Caribbean, like in Jamaica, Dominican Republic, all these places. So we definitely have a lot of work to do. To clean that up.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's no reason for that to be going on. But hey, you know, we're aware in this time. We're here for a reason. This everything's in divine order, and I do believe as we do this great work, we will have a positive impact on others around us as well as people that we don't know. So once again, just want to thank you for coming on this broadcast. It's been amazing having you on here. you're definitely welcome to come on Moors in America anytime you
Oh,
you know
thank you.
want to
Thank
share.
you.
Before we go though, please let us know how many books you have.
My brother, I have about 7 books.
Wow.
Alhamdulillah, I'm truly grateful. And it's all
So,
about masonry, about these Western initiatic systems like the Crowley system, Rosicrucianism, Freemasonry, Telema, right? And how they've taken everything from Islam. These are just 4 books by itself. Then I've written a book on the Islamic history of Native Americans, which the Moors are given credit on how Mansa Musa and all these Arab kings and rulers were already here, and how in the 7th century in caves in Nevada, they had inscriptions that Muhammad is the prophet of God. In Kufic Arabic script in Nevada, they have inscriptions in these caves in the year 700 AD. So, I mean, I mentioned that. I mentioned the Rijal al-Ghaib, who are the hidden saints of Allah. And yeah, these are all my books. They're all in the link posted below, and I hope they benefit you. And if any questions, just hit me up on Facebook or my email, and I'll be more than happy to speak to you.
oh yeah, we definitely want to check those out. You're doing a great work. This is we have to tell this truth. I don't think anyone else is going to do it or do it properly. So
Yeah,
just want to thank you. And as we close out, Morris, make sure if you have not liked this video, what are you doing? Like the video, like the video, hit share, come back and check it out tomorrow. We may add some more links in there for you, but definitely go subscribe to this brother on YouTube. Go to his Amazon page and check out his books. You just heard him describe the books; they sound great. I do have one of them, so I can tell you this one that I've gotten is great. And he's got
and
several.
Moors, to the Moors, please get the book Unlocking the Keys by Brother Lloyd Douglas L. This will help you a lot.
All right, so thank you everybody for tuning in. Hit like, share, and come back and do it again on Facebook. This video will also be on Facebook in a few hours. Peace and love, everybody.
Peace. Islam.
Islam.